China has just released footage of a dangerous mid-air encounter over the Taiwan Strait, just a few miles off the Chinese coastline in what international law considers open airspace. Two military helicopters flew so close that experts say a collision was only seconds away. Analysts believe the foreign helicopter was possibly a US Navy MH-60R Seahawk, adding yet another chapter to the tense standoff between Washington and Beijing in one of the world's most contested regions. The video shown by Chinese state broadcaster CCTV was intentionally blurred, showing only silhouettes. No country markings, no identifying numbers, just two helicopters flying dangerously close. Experts from multiple defense think tanks have studied the footage and compared it to known aircraft profiles. They believe the foreign helicopter was possibly a US Navy MH-60R Seahawk, most likely operating from a destroyer or cruiser nearby. Do you think this was a US Navy helicopter, or could it have been from one of America's allies? There's a small chance it could have been from an ally such as Japan or Australia, since they also operate MH-60R, the most likely operator. China uses these incidents to show they are defending their claims in the Taiwan Strait, while the US and its allies maintain they are operating in international waters. This creates a constant cycle of surveillance, close encounters, and political statements on both sides. The MH-60R Seahawk is one of the US Navy's most advanced helicopters, specifically designed for maritime warfare. It costs around $42 million per unit, and over 300 are deployed globally. It is equipped for anti-submarine missions, using sonar buoys, advanced radar, and a dipping sonar system to detect underwater threats. It can launch torpedoes, carry Hellfire missiles, and conduct precision attacks on surface targets. Beyond combat, it can also handle search and rescue, medical evacuations, and intelligence gathering. This helicopter is a key tool for US naval dominance. A Seahawk flying near Taiwan usually means there is a US destroyer or frigate operating nearby, keeping a close eye on Chinese naval movements and submarines in the area. Is the U.S. presence near Taiwan more about surveillance, or is it preparing for potential conflict? The Taiwan Strait is around 110 miles wide and is recognized by most of the international community as an international waterway. According to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, ships and aircraft from any nation are free to pass through it. China disputes this, claiming much of the area as its own territory and frequently issuing warnings or declaring temporary no-fly zones. These warnings are not recognized by the U.S. or its allies, who see them as attempts to rewrite international law through pressure and repeated challenges. Incidents like this helicopter encounter highlight the legal gray zone. Both sides insist they are acting lawfully, yet both are pushing boundaries, increasing the risk of confrontation. The most recent publicly confirmed U.S. transit through the Taiwan Strait was in April, when an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer sailed the narrow waters separating Taiwan from China. These ships often operate with MH-60R helicopters on board for anti-submarine warfare and surveillance. The U.S. Navy maintains a regular presence in the strait to uphold freedom of navigation and deter Chinese aggression. While not every transit is publicly announced, these operations are routine and have become more frequent over the past 2 years. In the broader South China Sea, the U.S. strategy is to challenge China's claims over artificial islands and militarized reefs. Carrier strike groups, destroyers, and surveillance flights constantly patrol the area to prevent Beijing from fully controlling these waters. While the U.S. Navy leads most of the operations challenging Chinese claims, several allied nations are also active in the region. Japan regularly sends naval forces through the Taiwan Strait and operates MH-60R helicopters from its destroyers. Australia conducts joint patrols with the US, sometimes sending frigates and aircraft to the South China Sea. United Kingdom, Canada, and France have all carried out freedom of navigation operations in recent years, showing international support for keeping these waters open. Even India has increased naval cooperation with the US and its allies, conducting exercises nearby as a counterbalance to China's growing power. This multinational presence adds complexity to the situation. It's not just a US-China standoff. The Taiwan Strait and the South China Sea are becoming hot spots where several nations assert the right to operate freely, directly challenging China's claims. Each additional navy in the area means more potential for encounters like this one. As of early 2025, there are no U.S. aircraft carriers currently operating in the Taiwan Strait. According to Reuters, the U.S. Navy was even without a single carrier in Asia at one point, though this was a temporary situation as the USS George Washington was en route to replace the USS Ronald Reagan in Yokosuka, Japan. However, Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers remain active in the area. In February 2025, the USS Ralph Johnson transited the Taiwan Strait alongside the survey ship USNS Bowditch between February 10th to 12th. Earlier in the year, the USS John Finn and the USS Chung Hoon also conducted routine transits, signaling the U.S. Navy's regular presence in the strait. So, while no carrier strike group is currently confirmed, the U.S. maintains a steady presence through multiple destroyers, often accompanied by MH-60R helicopters. This ensures continued surveillance and signals U.S. commitment to freedom of navigation in one of the world's most sensitive maritime regions. This close call between a Chinese military helicopter and what analysts believe was possibly a U.S. MH-60R Seahawk is another sign of rising tensions in the Taiwan Strait. The U.S. and its allies are determined to keep these waters open. China is determined to enforce its claims. Neither side is backing down. Every near miss, every tense standoff increases the risk of a miscalculation that could spiral into a major conflict. The skies and waters around Taiwan are more crowded than ever, and one wrong move could change everything. Do you think the U.S. and its allies are right to keep pushing back against China's claims? Or is this strategy taking us closer to a war no one wants? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll keep covering the real stories behind the headlines you need to know.